In 2015, Canada's Supreme Court found a constitutional right to physician-assisted suicide. They gave Parliament a year to address the issue, unanimously holding that criminal penalties violated their Charter of Rights and Freedoms by denying individuals control over fundamental life choices and causing unnecessary suffering. Prime Minister Trudeau's party just introduced legislation to make euthanasia part of Canada's publicly funded so-called health care. No terminal illness is required, only intolerable suffering of any type, including psychological pain. So the next time you and your spouse are having a little spat in public, think twice before you say, "Living with you is causing me intolerable suffering and psychological pain." For in the new nation of CanaDIE, they may just let you. Quebec's already passed its own version, creating problems for doctors with moral objections. They're required either to refer patients to a doctor who will comply or to commit the murder themselves, even if it conflicts with the physician's deeply held and considered moral or religious beliefs. Refusal can cost a doctor his license to practice medicine. So what's next? We can hear it now. Lawyers defending serial killers saying, "Your Honor, my client pleads guilty to the lesser charge of practicing medicine without a license." But with this new law, what will be the difference between a Canadian doctor and the biggest serial killers in history? The doctors will have killed more. What could be worse than converting formerly life-saving doctors into life-taking killers? Multiply it by 10 if the U.S. passes similar draconian legislation. Cases have already been filed in 3 states where state Supreme Courts have ruled in favor of a constitutional right to die. And it may not be much later before the late great USA has the new creed, right to death, liberty, and the pursuit of death. Amidst a flood of articles, the National Post noted that death will become a civil servant. He will operate in the open, during business hours, with a budget and a boss. His work will be humanized and bureaucratized. Death will be licensed, regulated, and empowered by law to solve a public policy problem. Part of that problem is the broken nature of the palliative, also known as end-of-life, care system. Families now often must care for their own elderly and terminally ill, something difficult or impossible in homes where no one is available to provide that care. In short, euthanasia eliminates the problem by eliminating the patient. Because of the nationalized aspect, there aren't enough funds to provide services for everyone, so healthcare must be rationed. But decisions based on financial considerations alone reduce us to asking, is treatment for someone who won't recover or doesn't want to live really necessary? Bioethical philosophers note the political pendulum is swinging back from a religiously inspired cultural fixation on the sanctity of life, no matter what its quality, to the supremacy of the right to self-determination, a radical shift in worldview. What's driving this movement in Western nations? The emergence of a post-moral, paganized culture. 2,000 years ago, a rabbi emerged from pagan Rome whose example helped transform a culture of cheap life into the right to life and even a duty to live. And tragically, when the mass medical murders reach a terminal velocity, those 2 millenniums of a duty to live may turn into an unprecedented civic duty to die. But should any of this surprise us? Activists in the Right to Life movement warned in 1973 when the United States Supreme Court ruled against the right to life of preborn babies in the Roe v. Wade decision that it would be a slippery slope leading to full-fledged euthanasia someday. Well, that day is upon us. Choose today life or death, blessings or curses. And when being pressured to do your duty to die, Remind them that you have a Savior who sacrificed his earthly body so that you don't have to die. So defy your civic duty to die and exercise your spiritual duty to choose life.